So I knew that this news was coming. I knew that this was going to happen. But the fact that this has happened already at this speed, or it's like begun, because it hasn't officially happened, where Ubisoft now is starting to pretty much merge with Tencent, as Jeff Keighley, who, if you don't know who this guy is, he's the one who runs and organizes the Game Awards. He's massive in the gaming space. He comes out with a lot of gaming news, and he put out a tweet saying Ubisoft is spinning out its Assassin's Creed's Far Cry and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege franchises into a new subsidiary backed by Tencent. No word yet on what this means for other Ubisoft franchises or the company's approximately 19,000 employees. So Tencent is now investing into a subsidiary of Ubisoft, which is basically like, it's like a new branch off. Like Ubisoft, they have many different branches. They have some in Quebec, and then they have in France, and then Montreal, like just all around the world. They have like different companies and different Ubisoft headquarters. This is basically what that is, where it's a new subsidiary, and it is acquiring 25% of a stake in Ubisoft. And apparently the amount of money that they're putting into this is in the billions. This is like a massive transcript of what's going on and everything between the Ubisoft and Tencent, like pretty much merger and the creation of this subsidiary. But they are investing and putting in 1.16 billion euros into this investment into Ubisoft, which is a massive amount of money and is absolutely fucking huge. Now, obviously, a lot of people are wondering what is going to happen now to Ubisoft as it is, and also, why is this happening? Now, I want to take the place of why this is happening. Like, why is it that Ubisoft is now being almost bought out by Tencent? Why is it that Tencent is putting and Ubisoft is accepting this amount of money to branch off and to give away their biggest franchises? Like, if you look at Ubisoft and you say, what are their top 3 franchises? It's obviously Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Like, those are the 3 major franchises and IPs that Ubisoft has. So why is it that they're like allowing Tencent to pay this much money? Well, if you don't know, Tencent does already own about 10% of Ubisoft. They invested it back in 2018. But if we go ahead and we look at the Ubisoft stocks over the last like 5 years, it has been absolutely fucking terrible. Their stock has been nothing but plummeted since 2020. And I mean, it's not really surprising because of the amount of games that they have released over that time. And none of them have especially done well. Like, even though Assassin's Creed Shadows just came out, and it is reported that the game today has reached up to 3 million players, which is a decent amount of players. This isn't concurrent players. This is all players altogether. That doesn't account for sales, because this is also in account for Ubisoft Plus members. And you might think that for an ordinary game, 3 million players is a lot of people, and it is. But considering that reportedly the amount of money that went into Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is around $400 million, that is the rumored amount. And to me, considering the amount of reports that we've got now about how much games cost these days, and especially AAA companies, how much they put into a lot of AAA games, 400 million sounds about right. And 3 million players itself, which isn't its sales, that is nowhere near enough to cover the cost of Assassin's Creed Shadows. This would have had to have already over 10 million players to be sold, especially considering that the game has been out for like what, a week or two. I think a week now. It came out last week. Considering that like a game does its best over its weekend, and to only have 3 million players after its week isn't great. Like, it's really not that good. So you can see why is that, considering Ubisoft's stock has already been going down over the last 5 years, and now they're looking and saying, well, Assassin's Creed Shadow, yes, it had a pretty decent launch, but we needed it to do better. Like, they needed to, you know, when you're playing, if you're playing D&D, and like you need to roll at least a 19, that's what this is. It's like you can roll a 16, and like a 16 is great. It's good. You rolled a 16, but you needed it to roll a 19. That's what Assassin's Creed needed to do for Ubisoft. This game couldn't have just done like, oh yeah, the game did pretty well in terms of like its reviews on critics and players, and also it sold kind of decently. This game needed to do exceptionally well in order for Ubisoft to last. And we haven't gotten any financial reports from Ubisoft just yet, but I can guarantee you that once it comes out, is that we're gonna hear that Assassin's Creed Shadows, even though it sold kind of decently, is that it did not do enough for Ubisoft to be able to survive. And now also the other question is now what is going to happen to Ubisoft? What's going to happen to Ubisoft going forward? Is this a good or a bad thing? Now, me personally, I see this as an amazing thing because I like Tencent in terms of them owning different companies. And you yourself, you might be like, who is Tencent? Tencent is a Chinese company. They are a massive investment company and they invest in a lot of big game companies. Now, you might be sitting here and saying like, China bad. China, nah, fuck those guys. They're going to ruin this. Well, if you go ahead and you actually look at Tencent's track record, you look at the companies that they own fully and 100% own. Two of the major companies that they own is Riot Games and Grinding Gear Games. Now, you know who Riot Games is. They are the people who own League of Legends and Valorant. And I mean, I don't have to say much out of that for you to go like, yep, that is a really great company. And in Grinding Gear Games, they are the people who make Path of Exile. And Path of Exile is one of the greatest games, at least to me, of all time. And Path of Exile 2 hasn't even released yet, and its Steam numbers were massive. And then also another company that's kind of mentionable because they have a game coming out soon is Funcom. They are the guys who are developing the new Dune MMO. So far, Tencent's track record when it comes to owning companies has been extremely well. Like, it's been really good. The money that they put into companies and the way that they structure companies and the way that they manage these companies, they have produced extremely good games. If you are a Ubisoft fan, now I'm not much of a modern Ubisoft fan. Like, I have criticized Assassin's Creed Shadows a lot recently, but like, if you look at my background here, that's an Assassin's Creed 3 statue from the limited edition version of Assassin's Creed 3. I have an Assassin's Creed encyclopedia over there. I bought Assassin's Creed 2 when it came out. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3. I played the original Assassin's Creed. I've played Black Flag. I love the original saga of Assassin's Creed. I mean, Far Cry 3 was one of my favorite games, is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, I play Siege all the time. I am very shattered that they didn't actually include Splinter Cell into this. Because Splinter Cell, they haven't made a game for that in like, what, 10 years now, which kind of sucks, but it feels like it's almost like a dead IP at this point in time. But I feel like if you are a Ubisoft fan and you want those, and you want the company, you want these IPs to do well, I'm telling you right now that this is the best thing going forward, because Tencent is the one company that when they're going to restructure Ubisoft, which they will do, Ubisoft currently has over 19,000 employees, at least of like last year, and supposedly like I think this year it might be a little bit more. That is way too many. And I definitely think that Tencent is going to look at the amount of employees that Ubisoft has and goes, this is way too fucking many. We're paying way too many people. We need to get these people out of here, which I 100%, I'm sorry, but you don't need 19,000 people in a company. That is way too many, especially when your stock has been doing nothing but going down over the last 5 years. But I see this as a net positive. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, obviously a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. But if you are, as a gamer, this is a positive for Ubisoft going forward, because Tencent has an extremely great track record, and I definitely see them doing well when it comes to these IPs in being Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. The only thing is that I didn't expect this to come this early. I expected this for like, after maybe a couple months after Assassin's Creed Shadows had come out, and then we learned about like the fact that it didn't sell enough to hold up Ubisoft and from its stocks going all the way down. But I would definitely like to hear what you guys think about all this down below. Do you see this as a good thing? Are you not excited by this? Personally, like I said, if you are a Ubisoft fan or even a gamer in general, this is a good thing. Trust me on this. This is a net positive. But that's going to be it for me. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. That was rude. Peace out.